Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we're live. I'm the industry. I'm Will, Billy Smalls, Billy the Kid. I'm here with Whitney, Ty.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. Want to go ahead and introduce yourself officially? Let everybody know who you are.
Well, thank you for having me today. I'm really happy to be speaking with you, and I love your platform, and thank you for all the support you guys have given me in my artisanship thus far. My name's Whitney Ty. For all of those who may not know who I am, but I'm a singer-songwriter, producer from New York City, and I would say that you could classify my music as kind of dream pop, psychedelic soul, mixture of a few different genres. But I look at myself more as a poet or a writer, so I try to let that come through in most of my music. And you can catch me performing live in New York City pretty often. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I know you refer to yourself on Twitter as a psychedelic soul pop princess.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes it's hard to classify yourself, but I guess I can touch on each one of those words and why I've maybe classified myself not to be a diva, because I'm totally not a diva at all, but I think it's just because like I've always been drawn to anything psychedelic, anything that's like hippie, out there, wacky. Like I love sounds that are from another dimension or world. And I think sometimes it's cool to see how you can fuse sounds like that into pop music, and how you can kind of play with people's perception of space, and from a visual standpoint and from an audio standpoint. And then soul, I would, I've, from many comparisons, my voice has been said to be soulful. And I tend to go into the pop genre of music. And princess, just because, hell, why not? Why can't all us girls be princesses? Female empowerment, that's definitely at the top of my list. I think more women need to be confident about who they are, what they stand for, and all the capabilities of who they can be in the world today. We have so many platforms to get on, and I want to empower women to do the same. So.
Okay, that's definitely cool. Definitely cool. I was going through your Twitter. I noticed you reposted the Lady Gaga Super Bowl performance. I mean, I get kind of a Lady Gaga feel from you. How do you feel about being compared to her? Is that?
I mean, it's the utmost compliment, but it's it's interesting because somebody recently said to me, Whitney, when I see you, I think Lady Gaga, but when I hear you sing, it's like this very delicate and fragile voice comes from this kind of edgy outer exterior. And sometimes I'm even in the mall and I'll hear people go like, "Look, it's Lady Gaga," and I'm like,
"Really?"
Oh. And I'm like, "That's so weird." But again, it's a compliment. I admire her like above and beyond. I think she's an incredible human being, performer. I think most women aspire to reach that level of not success from like a stardom standpoint, but just the success in being so confident in your craft that you get on that stage and you're just like, hell with everything. I'm just going to rock this shit and it's going to be awesome. And she does that. Like you get on, you feel her, and then you could still feel her songwriting coming through, which I think is amazing, because I think that gets lost for a lot of pop artists. Like the shininess and the glossiness hides the songwriting, but hers still, she sings from a very real place. And she writes from a real place. So I love that about her. So yes, I will take that compliment. But I am not her. I've got my own agenda. So.
Oh, I definitely get that vibe from you. I never wanted to say you were like Lady Gaga, because I know as an artist you want to kind of make your own impression.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's good the way you laid that out, as to, those are good things to aspire to be. So.
I think all women should aspire, no matter, even if you're a musician or not, you should always be looking to dominate what you're doing, and feel good about it, and wake up every morning and be happy about what you're doing, and not choose things that are going to make you less of the capable being that you're meant to be. So I like that. I think Lady Gaga promotes that message for many people.
Okay, cool. How do you feel about that performance per se?
Again, like, she's insane. Like, her energy. I think that's what, when I watch her perform, I get lost in not all the shiny and the glitter, and because all that stuff is a part of who she is. But
Yeah.
I just get lost in the way she commands space. You know, look, she's in a stadium.
Right.
Can command open spaces to feel like they're their own spaces, and I think that's such a beautiful art form. And
Excellent.
I loved her performance. I thought it was fun. It was tasteful. It wasn't, even though it's over the top because it's Lady Gaga, it's not over the top. It was just what the event needed.
Yeah.
To be great. So yeah.
Definitely, I think it was entertaining. Definitely. Another thing, I mean, you're so enigmatic as an artist. I mean, like, there's stuff about you out here that people want to know, but like, knowing you like as an artist, like, I think you've touched on this in an interview we did before on our website, but just, kind of bringing that more to the forefront. Like, how did you come up? Or something like your first musical experience and things like that?
Well, I think it really, for me, it started when I was a child. I performed in a lot of talent shows. I did a lot of things in private too. Like, I wrote a lot. My music was very personal to me, and I at the time I didn't have a platform, and I was trying to find a platform in which I could express myself truly and fully as who I am, and not because I'm trying to reach an end goal. I really wanted everything I did to be authentic. So how I got there was supposed to be an authentic journey. I went to college, I studied architecture and design. So having that as a background and being able to be on a platform where I could then start to make tangible all of the feelings that I have from an artist standpoint really helped me to be a better musician, and a performer, because getting up in front of an entire room full of people and presenting your ideas and talking about how those ideas can form a real space in the world. It's just the same way music forms a real space in the world. So I think after I graduated, it was the right time to fuse all of my skills together, right timing in my life. I had a lot of things going on that were very difficult, and but they shaped me into being a better songwriter, being a better performer, and I'm very gratuitous to that experience, and that was kind of how it all started from there. And then I just started reaching out to producers all over the country. I love your work, let's work together, or let's write a song, I'll come here, fly here, or I'll fly out there, let's get working. Like, I have ideas, I want to lay them down. And it started to blossom that way.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I did want to talk about versatility because you really have displayed that. I mean, especially last year, you're quite talented how you just go in between different sounds. But what college did you go to? What school did you attend?
I went to the New York School of Interior Design. It's in Manhattan, and I studied there for 5 years, and I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts there. And it was really, really awesome. All my professors they were all architects, and they all worked for firms and practices. And before I graduated, I had applied to a really great hospitality firm in the city, and I was working designing clubs and nightclubs and bars and restaurants. And it was just like really an incredible experience for a new designer in the world. And I got to work since then on some incredible projects. I've designed stores all around the country, and
okay.
It's weird to say that, but when you're in school, my vision when I was in school was like, I want to have my own company one day. I want to have my own lifestyle brand and product. And I don't know if you saw, but just this last winter, I launched my own company finally after working so many years in corporate America. And I just kind of got sick of answering to the man, and I wanted to do my own thing. So
yeah, I mean, actually, that is one of the things I want to talk about. Gab.com, is that?
It's gabofficial.com.
Gab Official. You want to talk a little more about that? I mean, we kind of.
Yeah, I'd love to. I would love to talk about it. It's a very exciting adventure for me, because it's an adventure and a venture, but I love it because it's something I talked about with my best friend in college. I said to her, you know what, Daniela, like, I just have this dream, like, that I'm gonna one day have my own lifestyle brand. It's going to be products, art, everything for the home, and it'll all be tied into my music somehow. And I don't know if you realize, but I tend to be very visual with my music, and I want to tie that into, you know, not tie it into, but somehow show people that what I do is not apart from art. Everything I do is from my art background, my art history, and Gab is just, it's just the beginning. I want to be able to put our art in, you know, every establishment in the world, and that's my goal. To be on the opposite end. I used to design the spaces. Now I want to infuse the spaces with my designs, in a new way, in a more visual way. So yeah.
That's how long did it take to actually roll that out before you actually launched the site?
Well, the building of the business plan itself, like, it took a few months, but the actual design of the platform itself, that only took like a month. And the reason being is because I had some really great experience at my last firm. I learned a lot about visual environmental design. So my skills in graphic design and editing became very polished. So, and I worked with some of the best graphic designers in the country. So I'm very privileged to have mentored with people who could, you know, advance my skills in that sense, you know.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's going to take a lot of fans by surprise. I mean, I know you've talked about it on your Instagram and tweeted about it, but this is like a whole different like dynamic that you
Yeah.
that you bring. Like, are we looking at the same person? It's like,
I have a full plate right now, you know, between producing and literally rolling out like a crap load of songs this year, which are going to be coming. I'm going to be doing this also. So I have my plate full, and I'm very excited about it, very enthusiastic to share this side of myself with my friends, my fans, and, you know, future clientele. I think it's going to be really awesome.
that's excellent. And I mean, just so we know, we're talking to Whitney Ty and not the architect Whitney Ty.
Although sometimes I tend to think that I saw this TED talk like about a year ago, and it's a woman who said that society teaches you that you can only be one thing, and that's BS, because we have the ability to be many things. And she calls those people multi-potentialites. It's people who have the ability to tap into not just, oh, I want to be a doctor someday, or that person can say, instead of that, I'm going to be a doctor, but I'm also going to be a cellist, and I'm also going to be a painter. So why do we have to get tunneled into just one thing? And I think that's why a lot of artists like Kanye West and Gwen Stefani, they're perfect examples of artists who don't just embrace music as a one-faceted experience. They see music and culture as part of everything they do, and it gives them inspiration all the time, because how can you not be inspired by all the art that's around you? It's hard to just close that out. And if you have a vision like they do, you're like, hell, I'm gonna reach people in other ways. Not everybody discovers music through music. Some people discover music through fashion. Some people discover music through paintings. You know, there's a way to bring music to the people, and it's not just through one way. So that's
quite interesting. I mean, to bring that out here in all the interviews we posted, that's an interesting, interesting comment, honestly. And speaking of, you say a lot of deep stuff. Like, I was just like, going, I mean, I was going through your Twitter. I saw a post. You said, music is not just audio, but heavily visual. It is a portal to our imagination. I mean, that kind of ties into what you just said. But I mean, how does that statement play a role for you personally in your creative process?
I think it's exactly in a roundabout way what I kind of touched on earlier, that I don't write music with just visuals. I write music with just words. I see palettes, I see pictures, I see textures. Like when I'm creating, even when I'm making the art, if you reverse the whole thing, when I'm making the art, the music is what's inspiring me to make that, and vice versa. And the art is also inspiring the music. So they're both hand in hand. And I think I can't experience music with just my ears. I have to experience it with every sense that I have. So that's the whole premise of why Gab was born, because we need to experience art through many different mediums, and we should teach that to children. We should teach that to even adults who may not be comfortable with music in the way others are, because not everybody learns the same, not everybody experiences the same. So how do we reach those people with our music? We have to get them. We have to get them through pictures, through sounds, through marketing. There's different ways to do that. So I don't want to limit the amount of people I can reach by just thinking that everybody experiences just like me. So
interesting. I mean, that's kind of like with the whole I don't know, I can't say it, sun freak thing.
Sun freaks.
Those were some really like interesting visuals to that. When I listen to the song, it fits perfectly, but I mean, I don't know if I would have necessarily rolled it out that way. How did that whole, that visual process come together for you?
It's interesting because Tim Sunfreaks, his name is Tim, Tim and I have a very vivid imagination, and a lot of the times, because that song was co-written by he and I, both of our ideas kind of came together for this. I had this idea that Truth Be Told is about this girl, and she might not be human. She doesn't know what she is. She's evolving. She's turning into something, and she's on the run. And that whole video was about being on the run. You're not sure if she's in reality or if she's in her subconscious world that she's in, and she's trying to escape the sunlight, and so that she can beam off into another dimension. And Sun Freaks is chasing her, quote unquote, the sun is chasing her, and she's trying to get away from the sun because she doesn't belong to this earth. She belongs elevated at another place. So it's a poetic metaphor for, and I think I wrote something about this recently, about how not everything grows from the light. Sometimes things grow from the darkness, and you have to embrace the darkness sometimes so that you can find out, how you're going to shine even in the ugliest and most gruesome of places. So that was what the inspiration for that video is. And there's even scenes where you see the city just really, psychedelic beside you, and it doesn't look like it's even real. It feels like it's from another future time, and that's significant of how fast time is going, and that how just because you see something around you doesn't mean that's what it only can be. It can be more. Just like you can be more than the way you see yourself. Our art is more than what we see. It goes beyond just what our eyes can quantify. Its sound is more quantifiable if we really just break down all of the pieces and bits of it. I know I'm rambling on.
No, not at all. Actually, I was
talking to somebody.
I'm thinking like this sounds like this could end up being a movie or like some type of web series, or at minimum, like it's an interesting concept. I mean that's cool, because I mean I noticed you're quite philosophical. There's a lot like stuff on your Twitter, these sayings and deep comments. So thanks for rolling that out for us about.
My pleasure. I sometimes forget that not everybody might not be thinking, what I'm thinking. So it's like, it's good to communicate this with people, especially I'm glad to communicate it with you, because you've always gotten it. Like, I feel like every time we've talked in the past, you're like, yeah, I get it. I get what you're coming from. And I think more people need to hear, more empowerment in music. I think that this is the time more than ever to empower people.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's a good comment, because I mean, part of what drew me into you as an artist is your versatility, your voice. That's one of the first things I noticed I liked was your singing abilities. You know, your versatility going in between like Falling. You did Falling last year. Fans got that first. Then you
Yeah.
wrap up the year with like an EDM, like Sunfreak production. And
Yeah.
it's like you're not listening. It's like I don't know if you've seen that movie Split recently.
Yes, I have.
It's kind of like that. I mean, we're not getting the same Whitney Ty like ever. It's always a different person, which is good. So I think one of the main things that drew me in is the fact that you are always so thankful for like the smallest bit of praise you receive. You know, I've come across a lot of indie artists where they don't have a huge following, a huge fan base. They'll put up a song or something. Oh, I love that. And they'll just totally ignore your comment. It's
Yeah.
only when they get like the biggest attention from like a magazine or blog, then they're all excited. But you take every bit of piece of praise and you know, admiration, and you're like very thankful for it. So, you know, I was just wondering, is this like another philosophy you live by, or is that just kind of like, I mean, either way it's good, but I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I think it's just I'm incredibly humbled by the life that I've lived. I've gone through and seen and experienced too much in my lifetime to be that pretentious that I can't acknowledge when people are expressing. I mean, these are people that are stepping out of the busyness of their day, and they're taking the time to listen to my music, and then they're taking the time to absorb what I'm doing, and then formulate a response. And for me to sit back and say, you know, screw that guy, like, I feel like, why am I even making music then? Because the whole point of making music is to unite people. It's to bring them closer together. It's you know, we're all so different, but music is the unifier. It's the one thing that we all can relate on. So why turn those people away? I remember when I was young, we didn't, you know, it was different because when we were growing up, it wasn't like Twitter was a hot thing. You know, it wasn't like, that's kind of a newer thing that's everybody's on. So like, you couldn't reach out to your favorite artist and say, and hope for a chance that they'd answer you. Now, like, you know, you can email your artist that you love. You can tell them how much you appreciate their music. And I guess it is a philosophy. I think that, you know, I grew up, you know, I used to get picked on when I was younger. I mean, this is the story that every artist that probably steps on stage says, oh, I was picked on as a kid and this and that. And like, but I think it does something to you, because once you find yourself and you find the people who appreciate you, you start to look at life differently. And now that I'm you know, being a musician and being out there on a public platform, I want the people who are listening to me to know that I appreciate them, I adore them, because they're supporting my craft. They're the reason why I can do what I do. And I'd be silly not to answer. It seems selfish, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's all too common. So I think, because I noticed going through your YouTube comments under your videos, like because of the positivity you project, it comes back. I actually, honestly, could not find one negative comment about your music under the videos. I checked everything.
I mean, they're gonna come. I mean, people are gonna bring those, but you know what? You're not always for everyone. You know, people. I think what's good about the arts is you can appreciate the craft of someone, even if it's not your cup of tea. You know, like there's many artists that like I appreciate what they do, even if I can't relate to what they do. I still admire and appreciate, and I think all these trolls on the internet need to stop like bashing the people who are, you know, who are even taking a big step by being vulnerable enough to put themselves out there and say, here, I might suck or I might be great, but you know, here I am and I'm not scared. And I think vulnerability is the most beautiful gift you can give the world. You're letting all your guard down. So to be bullied because of, you know, online or told that you suck is like, it's terrible. I would never do that to another artist. You know, it's just, yeah.
I mean, I think you're pretty much in the safe zone from that right now. I didn't see anything bad about you on there, so.
I still got to push that message to the trolls out there. Like, don't troll anymore. Bring peace and love and respect, and that's where it's got to go.
You know, I mean, it is what it is, though. But I noticed, I mean, I think you're definitely a good example of you get back what you put out, you know. So, And so moving forward, like you mentioned earlier, you said you have a lot of music coming out this year. You're big on visuals, which I like personally. And then, like you said earlier, talking about how fast paced the world is now, for people to just take time out to appreciate your art form. I think I find visuals very attention grabbing in this era. More so, like if someone's like asking me like to listen to music, it's like, okay, cool, but like a video or something really like just gets your attention, and that's good. You're big on visuals. I mean, do you have anything kind of that you can share with us that's coming up, or anything cool to share?
Yeah, I think I mentioned on I think an interview I had recently that yeah, it was an interview. They asked me what I had coming up, and I had told them that I am doing a couple of videos from spring into the fall. So there's going to be a lot of visuals coming. I can't say exactly when, but I have a new single that's going to be hopefully dropping in the early spring. But following that, I have a ballad that I have coming out that is going to be filmed in Belgium. So we're doing a very cool video for that, and I'm excited. You know, I'm in preparations for that now. I have another video at the end of summer that people can look out to, another EDM track. So yeah, there's a lot coming, and then, you know, I'll put a little teaser out, but I'm probably gonna put another album out in the beginning of, you know, next year. But it's, you know, it's still it's an album that is evolving still, and I'm not sure between then and now what's going to happen. So there's a lot of material coming, and there's probably even more exciting things that I can't share with you yet, but just look forward to more visuals, more music, a lot of different things from me. You'll see that my stuff kind of has a similar vein, but because I work with different producers who have different styles, you'll see different like parts of me come out when I'm with a certain producer. Whether I work with Spencer Garn, who's in Atlanta, he's really great, very psychedelic soul, cinematic soul. So when I'm working with him, he draws out an entirely different person in me than when I work with Tim. Tim pulls out kind of this cinematic, like classic movie-esque type voice, which is something I've always wanted to do from when I was a child. I wanted to write music for film and big motion pictures. That was something that I'm still doing. So it's
No, I think you have all the components if you decide to get into film. Like I was just like seeing that Sun Freaks video as you were explaining the plot over again. Like
that's kind of probably why the video ended up manifesting that way, because him and I mean, Tim writes for films and he writes for TV. So he and I tend to think on a more cinematic scale. So, you know, to bring that to bring a different sound to film is definitely something I'm interested in doing.
Interesting, cool. So you did mention, I remember we talked some time ago talking about new music, and like how you said it depends on who you're working with. They bring out a particular part of your musical talents. I remember at one point you said you wanted to collaborate with a rapper. How is that coming along? Is that something you're still?
I don't think it was like a concrete plan. It was just that you know, coming from a spoken word poetic standpoint, I love rap. I think it's awesome the way that they formulate ideas, and I'd love to see what I could create with someone who excels in writing spoken word and rap, and who has really awesome rhythm, and who we can make like some kind of new little creation. I'm just excited to collaborate with different types of artists. I don't want to get locked into thinking that, you know, and this ties into Gab again. It's like, you know, there's more than one way to reach people as you are. I mean, I think another artist who does this really well is, Ellie Goulding. Ellie Goulding is a perfect example of an artist who, on her albums versus her pop collaborations, it's still Ellie Goulding, but she's reaching people with her voice in many ways. And as a vocalist myself, I don't I don't particularly say I'm just this one thing, you know, but I'm not. I'm, you know, I love Etta James. I could sing At Last all day long and feel comfort in my comfort zone. But then I can also get on stage and like be like Sheryl Crow with a guitar and be like, hell, I'm gonna rock out right now. So I don't think that I'm only one. I'm not one thing. I'm an artist, and I'm gonna express my lyrics and my emotions through different mediums. And hopefully it'll still be me. People will see that it's still me coming through, and that I could reach people that way.
Cool. I mean, speaking of, who would you like to collaborate with, like a mainstream artist or just
I
yeah,
mean,
as
yeah,
far as mainstream, yeah, who would you like to collaborate with?
I've always wanted to co-write with John Legend. I think he's somebody that I feel I deeply relate to as a songwriter, and even just his the way he sings. There's something in it that I relate to. I think when he performs and when he writes and when he executes, it's a full visual picture. And when I hear his music, all I think of is visuals, and all I think of is swag, and like, but it's so elegant. It's like an elegant swag, and I love that about him. I think he's an incredible artist, and I would love to write a song with him someday. So if you're hearing John, if you're out there, give me a call.
I have another artist you might want to collaborate with.
Are we thinking the same guy?
I think so. I don't know. You said
I'm talking about Devontae. Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah. How did you know?
Because I love Devontae Hayes. He's amazing.
How did you know? Like that's. I mean, because I know we talked about his album last year. It just came out, and I said I was gonna listen to it, and I think you. I don't know. Have you listened to it yet?
Yes, I have. I'm gonna give. He might. I don't know how he's gonna feel about this, but I've always felt that he was the prince of the underground, and I thought that, I thought he's got so much friggin' soul. It's like he's just bursting with soul, and like you can't not be drawn to Dev. Like there's really no way not to. And I tweeted at him a couple of times, and he did acknowledge. He will acknowledge, which I love that about him. He's not one of those artists we talked about before.
All right. I'm so tired of that, man. Like I liked his most recent album. It was definitely more political. A lot of political elements in that, which was surprising. Like I saw some of the fan feedback was like, "Oh wow, he's finally saying something that's just outside of like relationships or other."
Now is the time to be it. I think he's making a good decision. I mean, I've never been quite political, but for the first time in my life, I'm feeling more political. So I mean, it might even come through in my music. But that's our job as artists. We have to reflect the times. If we don't reflect the times, 20 years from now, when people look back on the music that was made, it'll identify with a period. It'll be the epitome of what people struggled through. It becomes history, a part of history. So that more power to Dev for taking that stance and for feeling compelled to make a political statement. So that's awesome.
Definitely. I mean, so you grew up in New York?
I did.
Okay. So speaking about politics, seeing how all this is shaping out to be. I mean, have you noticed any change there as far as where you grew up with, being that the POTUS is from, those are stomping grounds pretty much. What are your thoughts now on what's going on over there?
I mean, the way I see it is New York is a very resilient city. I think that we have such a broad group of cultures in one place that even though these are tough times and a lot of us may agree or disagree with the things that are going on, it is our job as citizens to protect and unite with each other and stand up for what we believe in, even if that means fighting to the death. I think if this POTUS campaign has taught us anything, is that we still have a voice, and they want us to think we don't, so that we don't speak out. But that's the trick. But I think that if we do all unite and get together and group our facts straight and not get highly emotional in the moment. We really just sit back and process everything that's going on. We probably could formulate really great tactics to tackling the different issues that are climactic at this point in time. So, I would just say it definitely is affecting New York. It's affecting my friends, the people, acquaintances that I meet. You can see it almost like a reserved inward direction people are going in, but at the same time they're woke. They want to like do something about it. So everybody's like, crap, I feel like I've been duped for so long, but now so much information is out there. I can tap into it and just fact check too. That's just like another thing I would say. Like everybody's just there's too much false info going around right now. That's kind of scary.
That's interesting too, because I mean, going back to your comment about you said like music is like the epitome, like plays it's the voice of the era that we're in, or people can easily compare this to like say the civil rights era, like during the Kennedy administration, Vietnam, and all these types of different eras. But here's what's interesting about this time to me. So you have artists like yourself who are just really in tune creatively, mainly on the underground, but then you have these mainstream artists, like what's on the radio and what's being promoted is still garbage. It's like, back then, if you go back, you could hear the Temptations or the Beatles or someone political on the radio. What's your take on that? I mean, because it seems like it's really different, even though we're still facing a similar issues.
I mean, I've always felt that mainstream music is there's a profit margin associated, so it's a system of what works. What people want to hear. The music is great. I won't knock mainstream music. It's great, but I think there is a whole other wave of music underneath mainstream that is just as relevant and important and deserves to be heard just as much as mainstream does. And I think we need to go back to a time where we're not brainwashing people to only listen to one type of music, and we need to allow them to experience all kinds of music so that the messages that really important artists out there are trying to say, people who want to enforce change politically, socially, for our rights. There's like so many things people want to say, but if it gets suffocated by the mainstream pop movement, I think they're doing a big disservice to themselves, because we are a people. This is our world, and I think that the only way we're gonna reach musical, I guess you could say, bliss is if we just stop brainwashing people. I think there is more to music. I remember recently I was on YouTube and I had discovered a playlist of artists who were on the cusp of becoming famous at the time that the Beatles were coming out, and all of those psychedelic bands of the 50s and 60s. And there was a whole playlist, and it was called, it was just a playlist of incredible artists who were making the same quality music, but the content of what they were saying, never reached anybody. It got overlooked and overshadowed by mainstream media. And I was so happy that I had found this playlist, and I was like, I couldn't believe the quality of music I had just listened to, and I'd never heard any of these songs before. So I would hate that to continue. I think we need to find a way to get more indie artists part of mainstream, somehow fuse those two together and reunite the art form yet again, so that we can keep communicating our art to everyone and not just to a specific crowd of people.
That's interesting. I think one artist who's achieving what your goals are for that is Chance the Rapper.
Yes.
Completely indie, and it's just pretty much he opened the door for himself.
Yep.
Like I think we definitely need more artists like that. Based on.
No, it's true. Chance definitely did that. I remember watching him when he was just building up and he was coming out, and I was even impressed. I said, wow, this is somebody who is not going to let the circumstances of mainstream media keep him down. He's going to keep fighting for what it is that he wants. And I said this, I think, earlier in the interview, but we need to empower ourselves enough to believe that there are no barriers any longer. And, somebody has to be like the Martin Luther King of music and say, listen, everybody congregate. This is what I have to say. And you're not coming here to listen to me because I'm trying to show off. You're coming here because you believe in this same thing. I think everybody believes that indie music is the future. It is the future. We have to believe that. And once we start believing that, it'll start materializing and people will start breaking the boundaries like Chance has done, and not being, it's pop, it's mainstream, my music is not at that level. It can be at that level. You have to believe in yourself enough to get it there. You have to care about the quality of your music. You have to care about the intentions behind your visuals. There's a lot of things that go into getting there. So, I want to empower other artists to do the same and just keep pushing them towards their greatness. That's what we have to do.
Interesting. I really definitely really like those comments. I mean, I think people are going to like this interview. I like deep interviews. I did also want to touch on touring because you did mention you're a people person. You like meeting new people, experiencing new places. I saw you had like a tour date from in Massachusetts recently. Do you have like any international tour dates coming up? Or are you finally going to be able to reach that goal?
At this point in time, I don't have any national tour dates. I've kind of just been booking exclusive gigs and gigs in Manhattan only because of the limitations of the traveling for me and being able to gather that kind of support behind me being an indie artist. But it's something I'm working towards. I want to go on tour. I'm hoping to do some touring in Europe. I'm going there in a few months and to be able to perform out there. But that is my ultimate goal, to have a national or worldwide tour at some point in time. Right now I'm building my catalog and I'm writing a lot of music. So that in itself has been keeping me in the studio for a lot of time, and also kind of just developing myself as an artist. It's people only see the product, but they don't see the day-to-day of what goes into getting there. So it's a lot of work.
That's absolutely true. What do you think about so as far as your fan base goes, where do you attract like the most attention? Is it like, do you have more of a fan base internationally, or is it more here?
It's mixed. I have a lot domestically. I have a big following in California, and
I can see that. I can totally see
the Midwest, Boston, Canada, and also the UK, as well as Amsterdam. I noticed that there's pools of people in different places who are, who attract to my style of music, and but I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to limit myself to a style, which is why I'm kind of dancing in the waters of different ways that, as a songwriter, not even just a vocalist or an artist, but as a songwriter, how I can reach people with my message. That's what is the most important to me, is that there's some kid sitting in the Philippines right now in his bedroom by himself, and he might have just lost somebody, or maybe he lost his job, or maybe he's going through something, but he might have the opportunity to hear something I've written, and that could be everything for him. So I don't want to deny that person of my songwriting or of my message, more so my message, because songwriting is just the medium of how it gets out, but the message is the thing that has to reach everybody. So yeah, that's.
You also did mention, kind of along the lines, like you gave the example of like you want your music to reach, and really the relatability of it. You want it to relate to everyone. You also mentioned that there's healing power in your music, or you hope to have healing elements to that. How do you go about, making sure that's in your music? Is it
I
something?
think I think it's more just it's not something that you can plan. It's something that has to come from within. And when you write music, and a lot of artists and songwriters can attest to this, is that sometimes music just writes through you, and you're not writing it. It's greater than yourself. There's an intention greater than yourself, and this goes true for businesses too. There's a reason why certain businesses in the world are more successful than others, and it's not because of the pretty shiny things that they're offering you. It's because you believe in that company, because they represent something that you can't put your finger on, because they've gained your trust. And music is a trust form with people. It's like a part of you has to speak to a part of them subconsciously, and they'll know when they hear it. They won't even have to question. They'll feel it because it came from somewhere authentic. And I want people to know that when I'm writing, it's not for me, it's for you. It's so that you can know that you're not alone. It's so that you can know you have a friend. It's so that you can know that we are all not alone. And I think loneliness is something that now more than ever, as we sit behind our phones and screens 24/7, has become an epidemic. Depression and loneliness. Music is still the outlet. It's still the cure for sadness, for the sad people of the world. And even, we gotta give them that medicine. We have to medicate them with positivity, with empathy. I think those are things we can do.
That's funny you mentioned that about like mobile devices and people being disconnected from reality and true experiences. It's starting to become more of like a movement. It seems like it's going to be like a challenge, like one of those challenges. Can you put your phone down for like so many hours a day?
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's remarkable. But I mean, without that, like you said, I mean, you wouldn't have access to
Exactly.
music. Like I remember, like you said, when I was coming up as well, I didn't have access to like music like this.
No, this is like, what? It's right here.
Right. It's like, wow. Like, I mean, back, like I'm even finding music from when I was younger that I didn't know a favorite artist of mine had put out. Like, what, they put that out? What, how come I didn't know about that?
Yeah,
And all
now it's right in your face. It's right.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's always pros and cons to that, but definitely. So I mean, we're definitely looking forward to some new stuff this year. I mean, you always have something surprising. Like I mean, when like for me last year, for you musically, like I said, was that whole transition from like I thought you were actually going in a new direction when I listened to Falling. I was like, I guess she's gonna do more like acoustic, more raw sounding music, and then
Don't hold your horses there, Will, because you don't know what's coming. No, I'm just joshing.
I mean, you're definitely right. Because then, like towards the end, when we got the I'm like, whoa, like now we're like, EDM. Let's pop some pills kind of thing. No, just
when I work Sun Freaks, we collaborate together. But when it comes to my signature work, my own like solo stuff, it's always it's gonna be dream pop. But it's not gonna just be dream pop. It's gonna run across the gamut of what pop. I mean, look at Michael Jackson. I can go back to Michael Jackson every single time and say that's when pop meant a lot of things, and it didn't just mean one thing. So like when I grew up listening to Michael Jackson, that was what I thought pop was. He had soul, he had rock, he had Prince is another great example. It's another person who fuses this psychedelic, dreamy, soulful you know, ingredient list of things that at the end of the day, it's still popular music. It's something that people can relate to. It's something that's relevant to the times. So I don't think people should get locked into this idea of pop, because pop, like Michael Jackson broke what pop meant. I felt like he was like, no, screw this. Pop can be a lot of things. Pop can really just.
He was pretty much a pioneer. Like,
Yeah.
They pretty much set the the tone for what that type of genre is all about.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy. But so we're looking forward to definitely. So I mean, if anybody's in the New York area, if they want to see you live, you're definitely always in New York performing live.
I don't know how much longer. I'm looking. I might be heading out to the West Coast, so
Wow, this is
I'm not really sure. I'm hoping I'll know more probably end of summer. But you know, I know I've been speaking. I've made so many great friends on the West Coast in this year alone that I'm looking forward to collaborating with a few people out there also. So
you
yeah.
said that so nonchalantly, like, oh, you know, I'm moving to the West Coast. Like that's a big. I mean, you it seem like you've been in New York a very long time, and you know, making your mark there. So
Yeah, I you know, again, and this goes back to, I'm gonna keep tying the Gab monster into all this, but I don't want to limit my music to geographic location. I think that I have to move with the people, through the people, around the people, get, you know, really just spread the oats everywhere and collaborate. I love collaborating. It's one of my favorite things to do. It is the way to grow as a person, as a friend, as a business partner, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with more artists and sharing my experiences with them.
So I did want to wrap up with this one last question. I mean, it's probably it's a very broad question, but it's a deep question. But what are some of your like insecurities as an indie artist? You know, what are some of your fears? You know, or challenges?
I think if I had to pick a fear, and I don't know if this is more of a fear than it is an apprehension of what just my own self, but just not being able to reach those people I spoke about. Like I want to get to them. I have to find them. It's my job as an artist to find those people. They don't know I exist. You know, there's somebody out there who doesn't even know who I am. There's a lot of people who might not know who I am, but that's my job. You know, it's one thing to sit in your studio and to make your art, but if you want art to have an impact, you have to strategize how you're going to get the art out there and how you're going to communicate, because it's like a virus. Once one person feels it, they tell the other person, and then it keeps going. And then, you know, you have to do your due diligence as a musician, as an artist, as a you know, as someone who promotes a positive message. And I think that I'm just going to keep improving upon the fear of not reaching someone, and use that as a catalyst to keep getting out there.
That's cool. I mean, just for doing this interview, you know, like you said, it's all about getting it out there. So where can people find you? You know, you're on Twitter and.
Yeah, I'm all over the board. I'm on WhitneyTieMusic.com. I'm on Twitter.com, you know, /Whitney_Tie. Instagram Whitney Tie, and if you just type Whitney Tie into Google, you'll see I'm on Spotify, Pandora. You can stream me on both, and yeah, it's, you know, if I urge my friends and fans to reach out to me, you know, to communicate with me. It's important. I think it's important to keep communicating with our fans and our friends, and I encourage you to reach out.
And she definitely will. Definitely will. There's no doubt about that, and that's part of what makes you amazing. Because I think that, you know, part of being an artist, not just the music, but people will also connect to an artist based on how they carry themselves, like how they project themselves. You know, like falling in love with an artist is more than just the music. I know a lot of like I won't say any names, but major artists that are real popular. I may like one of their songs, but seeing how, you know, at least, you know, you never know how they really are in real person, but how the media portrays them and so forth is kind of like assholes. And you're like, no, even though the song sounds great, it's never going to sound 100% great, because you know who's behind the artistry. So I think just getting fans to know who you are as an artist is just as important as the music too, you know.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. You got to build trust with your fans. I think Lady Gaga does this also. She's somebody who reaches out to her fans. She talks to them. She cares about them, because they are the reason she can do this. She has a similar, I guess, goal as me, is that she doesn't want people to feel alone. She wants to give her art to them. She wants to feel like a family, like a community. And I agree with her in that sense. I think more artists should take on that mindset and really just connect with fans and find out what they want to hear. You know, ask them questions. They matter. Their voice matters. So, you know, more power to all these artists who are really getting in the crux of, you know, the things that mainstream doesn't want them to. So,
And so have you personally tried to reach out to Lady Gaga? And
I have not tried to reach out to Lady Gaga, but I appreciate her from afar, and I hope someday her and I can stand on a stage together and duet. That would be awesome. You know, I don't see a reason to reach out other than, I mean, I've commented on her posts and told her that she's incredible, you know, but she has such, I can't even imagine the amount of outpour every day she has to read through. So there's no way. I mean, she gets to what she can, you know, and I know she means it. So yeah, maybe I'll just, you know, maybe you have to hook it up, Will. Just give Lady Gaga a call and say, hey.
I wish I had it like that. Maybe.
I know. I'm just teasing.
Oh no, man! It's great to have you here, man. Like, you've always been great to our platform, and you know we like putting you on. So definitely, before we go, we always do one thing, and that's we give you, you know, ask the artist to give a drop, which is, you know, you will say your name is, you know, Whitney Ty, and this is I'm the Industry, and then we're good.
Well, thank you, Will, for having me on here today. You're amazing. My name is Whitney Ty. Thanks for having me on I Am the Industry. I can't wait to come back and speak with you guys again.
Oh, no doubt. Yes, you're always welcome, man. Always, always. I'm just going to go ahead and wrap up, and we're all done.